The faint voice sounded surprised. Lila said it again, and there was a tiny pause before the voice echoed, "Oh, quite," and she was swung round again. He steered so beautifully. That was the great difference between dancing with girls and men, Lila decided. Girls banged into each other and stamped on each other's feet. The girl who was gentleman always clutched you so. The azaleas were separate flowers no longer. They were pink and white flags streaming by. "Were you at the Bells last week?" The voice came again. It sounded tired. Lila wondered whether she ought to ask him if he would like to stop. "No, this is my first dance," said she. Her partner gave a little gasping laugh. "Oh, I say," he protested. "Yes, it is really the first dance I've ever been to." Lila was most fervent. It was such a relief to be able to tell somebody. "You see, I've lived in the country all my life up till now." At that moment the music stopped, and they went to sit on two chairs against the wall. Lila tucked her pink satin feet under and fanned herself, while she blissfully watched the other couples passing and disappearing through the swing doors. "Enjoying yourself, Leila?" asked Josie, nodding her golden head. Laura passed and gave her the faintest little wink. It made Leila wonder for a moment whether she was quite grown up after all. Certainly her partner did not say very much. He coughed, tucked his handkerchief away, pulled down his waistcoat, took a minute thread off his sleeve. But it didn't matter. Almost immediately the band started and her second partner seemed to spring from the ceiling. "Floor's not bad," said the new voice. Did one always begin with the floor? And then, "Were you at the Neaves on Tuesday?" And again Lila explained. Perhaps it was a little strange that her partners were not more interested, for it was thrilling, her first ball. She was only at the beginning of everything. It seemed to her that she had never known what the night was like before. Up till now it had been dark, silent, beautiful very often. Oh yes, but mournful somehow, solemn. And now it would never be like that again. It had opened dazzling bright. "Care for an ice?" said her partner, and they went through the swing doors, down the passage, to the supper room. Her cheeks burned. She was fearfully thirsty. How sweet the ices looked on little glass plates, and how cold the frosted spoon was. Ice too. And when they came back to the hall there was the fat man waiting for her by the door. It gave her quite a shock again to see how old he was. He ought to have been on the stage with the fathers and mothers. And when Leila compared him with her own partners he looked shabby. His waistcoat was creased. There was a button off his glove. His coat looked as if it was dusty with French chalk. "Come along, little lady," said the fat man. He scarcely troubled to clasp her, and they moved away so gently. It was more like walking than dancing. But he said not a word about the floor. "Your first dance, isn't it?" he murmured. "How did you know?" "Ah," said the fat man, "that's what it is to be old." He wheezed faintly as he steered her past an awkward couple. "You see, I've been doing this kind of thing for the last 30 years." 30 years! cried Leila. 12 years before she was born. "It hardly bears thinking about, does it?" said the fat man gloomily. Leila looked at his bald head, and she felt quite sorry for him. "I think it's marvellous to be still going on," she said kindly. "Kind little lady," said the fat man, and he pressed her a little closer, and hummed a bar of the waltz. "Of course," he said, "you can't hope to last anything like as long as that." "No," said the fat man. "Long before that you'll be sitting up there on the stage, looking on, in your nice black velvet, and these pretty arms will have turned into little short fat ones, and you'll beat time with such a different kind of fan, a black bony one." The fat man seemed to shudder. and you'll smile away like the poor old dears up there, and point to your daughter, and tell the elderly lady next to you how some dreadful man tried to kiss her at the club ball, and your heart will ache. Ache. The fat man squeezed her closer still, as if he really was sorry for that poor heart, because no one wants to kiss you now. And you'll say how unpleasant these polished floors are to walk on, how dangerous they are. Eh, Mademoiselle Twinkletoes? Said the fat man softly. Leila gave a light little laugh, but she did not feel like laughing. Was it? Could it all be true? It sounded terribly true. Was this first ball only the beginning of her last ball, after all? And that the music seemed to change. It sounded sad. Sad. It rose upon a great sigh. Oh, how quickly things changed. Why didn't happiness last forever? Forever wasn't a bit too long. I want to stop, she said in a breathless voice. The fat man led her to the door. No, she said, I won't go outside. I won't sit down. I'll just stand here, thank you. She leaned against the wall, tapping with her foot, pulling up her gloves and trying to smile. But deep inside her a little girl threw her pinafore over her head and sobbed. Why had he spoiled it all? I say, you know, said the fat man, you mustn't take me seriously, little lady. As if I should, said Leila, tossing her small dark head and sucking her under lip. Again the couples paraded. The swing doors opened and shut. Now new music was given out by the bandmaster, but Leila didn't want to dance any more. She wanted to be home, or sitting on the veranda listening to those baby owls. When she looked through the dark windows at the stars, they had long beams like wings. But presently a soft, melting, ravishing tune began, and a young man with curly hair bowed before her. She would have to dance, out of politeness, until she could find Meg. Very stiffly she walked into the middle. Very haughtily she put her hand on his sleeve. But in 1 minute, in one turn, her feet glided. The lights, the azaleas, the dresses, the pink faces, the velvet chairs, all became one beautiful flying wheel. And when her next partner bumped her into the fat man and he said, "Pardon?" she smiled at him more radiantly than ever. She didn't even recognize him again. End of story.